Hello beer tubers and welcome to another beer review with me, Peter, the master of hoppets. Today checking out some more craft lager, this time from Croatia. From a brewery I've had a couple beer from called Nova Runda. And this is 3 small batch beers from them, all of them being craft pilsners, 2 double dry hop pilsners, and a juicy pilsner. Look at that. So we got 3 to check out. I got these courtesy of Dan, so thanks a ton to Dan for the beers. He sent me loads of Croatian beer and really introduced me to the Croatian beer scene. So we've got 2 double dry hop pilsners and a juicy pilsner. And we're just going to go through them. They're all 45 IBUs besides the number 50, so it's number 48, 49, and 50 of their experimental series. And yeah, quite bitter pilsners, which sounds nice to me. So their pilsner I had, which is the first beer I had from them, was awesome with the mousse on it. But this double dry hop pilsner we're going to start off with first is made with Eldorado, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Mosaic. It's got hoppy, citrus, orange, tangerine, mango, herbal, spicy, drinkable, mint, clean, and crispy, smooth, bitter aftertaste. So you're going to get the pouring like this today because we've got 3 cans. I'm too lazy to get 3 glasses out today. That, to be honest, that's the reason why. So this is your close-up pour today. That looks like my kind of pills. Look at that. Bright yellow. Hazy. It kind of looks like a cold IPA or something like that. I wonder if these are going to be India Pale Lager like since they're double dry hopped. A bit of haze, but that's probably because of double dry hopping. And again, this was Eldorado, Amarillo, Simcoe, and Mosaic. No speak of malt. Is in Croatian. I don't understand it. 5.7%, 45 IBUs. Eldorado, Amarillo, Simcoe, Mosaic. White, fluffy head. It looks very nice. Let's check out the aroma. I'm dying for some pills. It's been a crazy week. Yeah, it smells quite nice. Smells pills with modern nuances. This smells like West Coast Pilsner, and it smells really good. Very clear, distinct Mosaic blueberry kush note for me. Crisp, fluffy, sweet, kind of doughy maltiness. Almost like a bit of a citrus meringue. There's almost a hint of vanilla. Yeah, citrus meringue. Like if you do like key lime. Maybe not key lime, lemon meringue pie. Just like a lemon meringue type thing I got there a bit. Definitely a bit of classic sweet citrus. It's definitely very forward compared to a traditional Pilsner. But it's also not as aggressive as, say, like double dry hop modern West Coast IPAs or cold IPAs and whatnot. It still feels like a Pilsner. Smells really good. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, and thanks to Dan for the beers. Really crushable. Really crushable. Okay, so the flavor, it feels even more bitter than 45 IBUs. This for sure feels like what they call West Coast Pilsner on the West Coast. It's just funny with these styles. West Coast Pilsner, cold IPA, Italian Pilsner, India Pale Lager. There's so many like these hoppy lager style trying to kind of be their own thing, but they're all a little bit similar. This is very much what I think of when I think these American West Coast Pilsners, where they've tried to do like a Pilsner approach to it, like make a Pilsner, but with a West Coast approach, because it's bitter, it's dry, it's crisp, and it's got kind of West Coast flavors. Or maybe even also cold IPA because it's so light and crisp. I don't know if they put rice or anything in there, but this is really good. A Pilsner fanatic would like really hate this, but it makes it so clean with the lager yeast, so crisp, so clean. Lots of bitter grapefruit to me, a little bit of that Mosaic blueberry kush. Definitely an herbal spice and some piney bitterness. I'm definitely seeing a bit of sweet orange and kind of mango, green mango maybe, or something. Like a peppery mango note on the flavor. A great take on a modernized dry hop Pilsner. And super crushable. You can drink a lot of this. Okay, so let's move on to number 49. They call this a juicy Pilsner with Citra, Galaxy, and Mosaic. 5.5%, also 45 IBUs. I wonder if they call it juicy because of Galaxy and why not Citra in here. It's definitely more modern hops than this. I mean, here you had Amarillo. Well, the rest are modern. Amarillo is the only one that's somewhat old school, and that was new school at one point. This one's supposed to taste hoppy, fresh, got citrus aromas, grapefruit, tropical passion fruit, green tea, juicy, smooth, fruity, and bitter aftertaste. So I wonder if this is going to be hazy. If that's the reason why they called it juicy. I've seen people now starting to make New England Pilsners, which is hazy Pilsners. I think we're also at a point where a lot of people want to they want to invent the new hoppy beer, just like with cold IPA or not cold with the brewed IPA, cold IPA, all these like things. And I just don't think you're ever gonna tip over the New England IPA crown because people just love that juicy shit. Well, look at that! It's a very similar beer in terms of color and everything, just called juicy. Wow, yeah, it just looks like my kind of beer, man. So crisp and almost like a green hue. Um, this is also, it doesn't say if this is double dry hopped, but it just, like, that is so enticing to me. Like, so pale yellow and a fluffy, fluffy white head because of really high carbonation. It just entices me a lot. Let's check out the aroma on the 49. Yeah, definitely citrus, touch of dankness. Sweet citrus. There's a bit of tart tropical fruit. This is definitely unorthodox Pilsner. Like, for sure. I think this one smells like this one had some nuances that made me think of Pils. And it was maybe less, like this is still distinct on hops, but this just seems maybe a tad more forward, but it's maybe also because it's a newer beer, because it's number 49. But yeah, there is some juiciness about it. And that's what you get also in modern West Coast IPAs. Like when you use these modern hops in those beers, you can get this brightness and zinginess, but pure hoppiness, no like yeast or anything. And then you get the dryness and all that as well. Citrus says to me too. See what they say themselves as well. They say green tea. I can see an herbal note, which is probably from Galaxy. But Galaxy can be interesting. Good Galaxy can be great, and bad Galaxy can be just like dirty, bitter green. Usually good Galaxy is quite tropical, but I'm thinking the Mosaic and Citron here can be the tropical parts of the beer. But yeah, for sure, like passion fruit, as they say themselves, like bright tropical fruit. Smells good. Look at that head fluff. You can see it. Let's try it. Cheers. Thanks again, Dan. Yeah, also really, really crushable. Like, first and foremost, also a lager, but really, really aggressively hopped for the style too. I wonder how much they use in here. Like, it's got a lot of hop flavor. This is just so awesome, crushable modern lager beer. Like, I don't understand why people are not going nuts for beers like this. Like, you could drink so much more of this than you could a New England IPA that's like sweet and aggressively hopped. Like, this is so much more balanced and easy drinking. Like, this is just applied to face beer. Definitely pineapple passion fruit in there. Citrus, lemony nuances. Like a little bit of bright zestiness. Am I getting a whiff of stone fruit or something too? That could be Galaxy. I've gotten that from Galaxy sometimes. Like it's definitely the most modern feeling of the two so far. But that's also really interesting. It's the same bitterness, but because it's more fruity hop flavors, the bitterness seems more restrained. And that just shows you how much bitterness is also perceived. Like this beer seems much more herbal and bitter and crispy, which is also really nice. But this where, because of the hops and the selection of hops, it just seems a bit more easygoing and restrained. And I'm pretty sure, like, if you, I'm not sure if they do lab tests, but if you did a lab test, it would be the same. It's just like bitterness is such a perceived flavor, and like a lot of things in beer is perceived, like also sweetness and things like that. Like even this feels sweeter. You can also feel it's dry on the palate, but it feels sweeter because it's juicy, sweet, kind of fruity flavors. Okay, let's do the final one of the set, the newest one, number 50. So this is double dry hop Pilsner, number 50 from the small bet series, Centennial, Citra, and Chinook, 50 IBUs, so even more bitter, 5.5%. I think there was only one that exceeded that. That was the 48. They say hoppy citrus, grapefruit, flowery, caramel, full body, bitter aftertaste. So with Centennial and Chinook in there, you're for sure going to get like piney, bitter, pithy, kind of grapefruity, earthy flavors. Really old school sea hop flavors. So this will be fun. And then with Citra in the mix. Because those flavors are also nice. And I think they're even nicer in the modern canvas. Because you get flavors you're not usually used to. When you have them in a more caramel forward, West Coast IPA, it seems sweeter and sugar-coated grapefruit and all that, but they're much more dank and bright, actually, when you have them like that. Like, for example, if you get Michigan-grown Chinook, it's like extremely pineapple forward compared to what people think of when they think Chinook. So, wow, it's just so pale. I love it. Crispy, crispy, pale-looking beer. really bright. Same color as the others, and this is also quite clear. They're all fairly clear beers, just a bit of haze and a fluffy, fluffy white head. Check out the aroma on this one. Yeah, more earthy, slightly more dank and diesely, and resiny. But Citra is definitely there with some sweet citrus fruits, I think. Flowery, yeah, grapefruit. Of course, Centennial is also one of those big carriers of grapefruit flavor. Some of that pine and resin too. Let's try it. Cheers. Definitely. So it definitely feels much more bitter than the rest. It's also 50 IBUs, but I think like resin and grapefruit flavor and piney flavor helps accentuate the bitterness. But I also think it feels maybe a tad less full on the body compared to the rest. It might be even drier than the others. And I think the flavor, although it's also double dry hop, I think the flavor on the others are a bit more complex. It's like very grapefruit, very pithy, very citrus zesty too, and like some of that piney. But it's like almost like chewing on fresh pine needles or something like that. It's not like that. I say resiny, so it's maybe just like more fresh pine with pine juice or something like that. Because the resiny, like oily, sticky hop flavor is not really there as well, which could be because it's mostly dry hopped. But it's good, but I think it's the least favorite of mine. Like it's also black tea kind of flavors to it. It's just like I like old school sea hops, and they're good, but I think they're best if they're an afterthought because they're so intense and overpowering on those kind of flavors. And I don't think they're as nice as some of the fruity stuff you get in modern hops. They're nice and they can really complement like a little touch of Columbus, touch of Chinook, stuff like that in West Coast IPAs is really nice. But if you use a lot of that and then just a touch of fruity hops, it's gonna be all bitter, earthy, resiny, kind of piney, grapefruity, zesty flavors. And not that they're bad, but I just prefer a bit more fruit, like from modern hops. Nova Runda needs to do a Southern Hemisphere double dry hop Pilsner. That would be dope. They're really good at Pilsners. I actually think they're some of the most fun craft Pilsners I've had from Europe in a long time. There's a few people doing it now, but these are really fun, but also really good and well made. There's no flaws. They're very bright and the hop forward, which is nice. It's definitely to a person who's again into classic beer, they are way over the top for them probably. But for a modern like Pilsner beer, again, kind of like West Coast Pilsner, these are just dead on. But my favorite, yeah, for sure, 49, then 48, and my least favorite is 50, but they're all dope. 49 is probably like a 93, 92 for number 48, and a straight 90 for 50. 94? 93, 92, 90, yeah. I think so. 93, 92, 90. They're really dope lagers, and crushers. Like I'm surprised how much I'm really digging them. Also because they're like so dry and bitter. That's like these are the kind of beers I want to drink these days. It's very similar to West Coast IPA or West Coast Pilsner. So if you've had a chance to try Nova Runda's 48, 49, or 50 in their small batch series, let me know. Really damn delicious stuff. If you love crispy, hoppy lagers, with modern hops, you're going to dig these. Thanks a ton to Dan for the beers. I think these are some of the best beers he sent. Of all the beers he sent. Actually. I think in general, like the Nova Runda beer has been like top notch so far. So if you guys had either of these, let me know your thoughts on them. As always, remember to comment, subscribe, check out the Facebook fan page, Twitter, and Instagram. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Ring the bell for future notifications about videos. And I'm going to say cheers to my favorite, the Juicy Pills. I'll see you guys in another beer review.